Okay, everything's recording. I've got a few different things set up, two different cameras set up, so everything is safe. Everything is safe in order to be saved safely. And welcome to today's Thursday trance. I'm really excited about this. So I'm going to do the introduction to this camera, and later on I'll probably move into this camera just so this might be easier to upload later on. And on this camera, we are recording the live stream. I am really excited about this trance. I know I say I'm really excited very, very often. I'm just very easily excited. I believe this release your resistance to change is one of the key instruments, one of the key elements that we need to bring in and that we need to work on when we embark on this journey of self-development, of taking ourselves to a different level. And it is really the key door that we have to open in order to make it easier for us to make these changes that we want to get into. What do I mean by that? I mean by that, when I, for instance, start teaching a weekend workshop, 2.5 day very often, or 2-day workshop, I usually bring this trance in the very beginning. I do a little introduction so everybody knows who's in the room and what we're there to do. And then I do a form of a release resistance trance. Because people have all their own mindsets, their own filters on, which will always filter out, as you know from all my other work, which will filter out the opportunities that come towards them, what they think is possible for them, and that will bring up a lot of obstacles, a lot of holdbacks, a lot of blocks that will disallow them from easily entering a new process. Now, if we harmonize that first, if we relax first, if we open up our subconscious mind first, and release those filters a little bit, all the changes that then are possible during the workshop, or the tools we're giving, new ideas, are going in a little less filtered. So we can then really judge, is this good for me or is this not good for me? Because what usually happens is when we embark on our journey and we hear a new opinion somewhere, we instantly filter out if that is possible for us or not, but that is filtered out by our already existing belief system. You often hear me talk about these filters where, you know, we grow up and we see how a relationship works with our parents, and on goes a filter, and then we see how money works, and on goes a filter, and filter by filter by filter, we create the world from which we will act and react. Now, built according to these filters, now we filter out what is fitting that already existing belief system, and new opportunities that we probably would love in our life are not even being registered by our brain because it doesn't compute with the existing software, as I always call it. I don't want to dive too deeply into this because I fear repeat myself too much, because that is one of the core teachings I always give in the beginning, so you probably understand. However, the subconscious mind has a very firm grip of what we think is possible for us. So when we embark into changing our lives, so often we say, well, I do want a better life. I do feel I can have a more meaningful relationship, or I do feel I could be more financially free or abundant. I do feel I could, let's say, inspire others, or have a different job, because it resonates with us. It resonates more with my core being, with my divine self. And yet, although we want to go there, inside of us, everything is fighting it not to go there because it means change. And that fight, that gatekeeper, that protection is in place in order for us to not embark on any, let's say, dangerous journeys that might hurt us, where we will be laughed at, where people abandon us, where people let us go, where people won't give us the opportunities, where we fear failure, where we fear success. So it is much easier and gentler for our system to stay where we are rather than embarking on something new, where we are creative beings. We are expansive beings. We need to grow in order to be happy. We need to expand in order to be happy. And so there's a real clash of, I want to do something else. I want to grow. I want to be and have an inspired life. And the fear of what that might mean to us. And if you have read the last newsletter, that picture that I put in there, I find so powerful, because everybody wants change in their life. Everybody wants to grow. Everybody wants to be that just a little bit happier, wants to maybe be a bit more financially free, wants to have a happier relationship. You know, there's always something in our life, but we just would like a little bit more, or something else. That doesn't mean that we're unhappy or that we're ungrateful. The key to this is actually being really grateful for what we have in that moment, but to also wanting more and wanting to expand, because that is what our soul plan really wants for us. And then the old fears are flagging up, and they create these resistances in order to, no, don't go there because you're going to fail again. Your mum was right. You should be so full of yourself. Don't outshine anyone. You might succeed, but that then means you lose your friends. People will see you for something else. You know, all these different things that we have in our minds. And of course, when we go into personal coaching, we can go really deep, and we can often unlock these within one session. Trance coaching is a very powerful thing to do that, even if we don't know what the personalized issue is that everybody else is holding, or what in that case you are holding, because this of course is a group environment. But we can use suggestions that help everybody to open up, release that resistance to change, and tune into their, what I call, divine self. Now, on that note, I want to make a point of me saying that I'm not coming from any religious background, but I believe there's a divine spark, and all that is spark within all of us, within every living and not living being, that connects everything. And for me, that is the divine spark. So that has no connotations for me with any religion or a God that judges us, but really just that spark, that flame that is within us all. And when we allow ourselves to step into that, we now see more and more possibilities. Opportunities now arise that before seemingly weren't there, but they just have been filtered out by our system. They've been filtered out because they didn't fit the old software. So what is very important to say before we go into this trance is that, of course, that doesn't turn you. I have some notes here so I don't forget anything that I want to share with you. That doesn't mean that it takes away any of your judgment or your free will. It just means that we now release the resistance to change, and then we can choose freely. I want to change that behavior, and that behavior I don't want to change. Where at the moment, we don't have any will in this. We can't change. We can't choose freely of where we want to go. So this is very important to address, because I don't want to go into this with any kind of fear that you might be losing any fear that is not serving you, or that you don't want to lose. Of course, there's a few fears in life that are quite helpful. You know, when you run into a wild animal, the fear is probably reasonable that you now should run or freeze and climb up that tree. Or when you step onto the street and you didn't notice the bus is coming, that fear that instantly hits you gets the reaction that you need to get out of the way. Of course, these are fears that serve us. And there's more fears that serve us. We are now talking about the fears that don't serve us, and the fears that are based on something that happened probably 10, 20, 30, 50 years ago, and are still in place because of something that happened that long ago, but are not serving us at all anymore. So when we've done this, when you've done this trance, and ideally you listen to this daily again, probably while you fall asleep, just pop it in. You can fall asleep with the trance. Most of my clients never even hear the full trance. I never hear a full trance because I'm gone by the count of 3 usually, and I wake up by the count of 7. So when you do this trance, changes will happen in your life. The most important thing is now to notice the changes that happen, and notice the synchronicities. Even though they're small ones, the little ones in the beginning probably, notice them and point them out to yourself. Oh, see, this is happening more and more. By every time you point this out, your doors will open. and the new behavior will integrate even more. So, and as you know, what you focus on expands, and therefore, you know, that you generate more and more and more of the flow that you really want in your life. You might also notice where you keep hitting the same walls more. And that is very important to just realize, oh, this might be actually belief that I'm holding on to. Excuse me. Where maybe that's one of my filters, that it seems even though I keep dating different relationships, different men or different women, they all turn out to be the same character. It's always the same man with a different face, always the same woman with a different face. It might be that you go into different working situations, but you always create the same feeling of the situation, or that you're always in a same money setup, that's always just enough, but you never seem to break through. And every time you go break through into the next level of maybe financial freedom or abundance, something happens that will break that down. That is all a pure mirroring to the existing belief set and mindset that is programmed, and that is what we're opening up. So if you notice, oh, I keep hitting the same wall here, why is that not working? It is working as in it is now showing you that there is a block, an obstacle on your way to getting there. Now, then you can do two things. You can, first of all, state the intention, I am ready to let this go. But then it might want you to maybe address a conflict, or maybe sometimes you want to go into a forgiveness process. Or find yourself a good coach who takes you through that process, who asks the right questions for you to find out why you're blocking that and where that is coming from. So there's different ways. You can do a healing session on that topic if that is your preferred modality. But the most important part is noticing I'm running a pattern here that is outdated for myself. So these are the first few things I wanted to share with you before we go into this trance. I will stop the recording now. We will take a deep induction into deep relaxation. I'm going to use an imagery where we go downstairs, and then we have a little visualization of a cleansing process. And then the affirmation or declaration or direct drive we are going to use for this release resistance trance is, I now release any resistance to change and open myself to being the best that I can be. As I let go of the fears that do not serve me anymore, I lean into my edge and step out of my comfort zone with joy, ease, and grace to share more and more of my brilliance. New opportunities arise all around me to reflect my true divine self, and I take desired action towards my dreams and callings every day. So I think this is a very powerful integration of everything we want to do today, of allowing you to tune into your divine self, your true self, tuning into your brilliance and being able to take action in according to those dreams and the soul calling that you have. So I'm going to make a little break in my recordings, and then we go straight into the trance.